facto for 15 years, of which more than 5 years in Belmarsh prison, without a single charge against him. And it's a warning to any journalist who reveals information that threatens the power of those who hold wealth and power, the barbarians, the murderers, the killers. Those people don't want anyone releasing information about what they do. And you can be sacked, fired, or imprisoned if you challenge their power, without charge and without trial. That's what it is. Why didn't they, a few days ago, outside the court, I was there, people came out of the court, they said, Julian Assange is one step nearer to freedom. Why didn't the judges release him? Put a tag on his leg. Why didn't they release him? Instead, they're preparing to send him to the United States and they keep him in Belmarsh prison. I was at dinner a few days ago with Julian Assange's father. With Julian Assange's father. And he's describing the condition of his own son sitting in prison. He wasn't able, he was so unwell, he's not able to attend the trial. The people, they've kept him in a tortuous condition. Most of the time he's been in Belmarsh, he's been in solitary confinement, without charge, without trial. So this is the reality of so-called democratic, legal, honest Britain. That's the reality, not the stories they tell you about how we're free, how we're democratic. I just got compensation for, I think it's 6 cases of illegal arrest. 6 cases of illegal arrest. They pay you the money eventually when you take them, when you threaten to take them to court. I've got another 2 cases or 3 cases pending. When you warn them, when you threaten to take them to court, then they pay up some money and they expect you to be hush about it. The reality is, they arrested, I saw just last week, 20,000 people have been fined in the last year for COVID offences. Have been charged and fined for COVID offences in the courts. When the British government, even if they believed every word, the British government clearly did. Because they were having parties and ignoring all the rules and regulations they imposed on society, as were the police, as were the judges, as were the entire elite. I remember in Ladbroke Grove, the police were out in force because there was one bar that would serve drinks outside. That bar, people would stand in Portobello outside, distanced from each other, in groups of no more than 6. And they would stand there, police would watch them with special cameras. Meanwhile, there was a club up the road in Ladbroke Grove where the wealthy people had arranged to have a big party in a building. Each room had no more officially than 10 people in it. They would move freely from room to room. It was exactly the same as a normal party in a large building with hundreds of visitors and guests. But of course they were very posh. Posh people were of course excluded from the lockdown, excluded from the restrictions, because it was all a con. A con designed to prepare the way for mass vaccination with mRNA to enrich a tiny handful of people at Pfizer, Moderna, and all these goons who were selling folk to the people. I knew a guy, a Tory. He was going to make 30% profit on selling face masks bought from China. You know the reason why he could make 30% profit? Because the NHS buys on a 1-month credit system. So unless you're prepared to cover that credit for the 1 month, you can't sell to them. So they would get a month's credit and make 30% profit from the NHS, selling face masks, which never worked for anyone anyway. And there's still people wandering around with these stupid rags on their faces. That's how psychologically traumatized people have been by what they did under the lockdowns, under the madness of the last few years. So here we have, I've just unraveled some of the stories about what's happened in the last years to understand the context in which this election is taking place. So I appeal again, vote for the Workers' Party or vote for independence in this election. Drive out the Tories and drive out the Labour Party. Thanks very much indeed.